Okay, let's jump right in with something that might challenge how you think about loneliness. It's not actually just about being physically by yourself.
That's right. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But that's really the core idea we're exploring today.
Exactly. We're doing a deep dive based on this piece. Loneliness isn't what you think. Here's the truth. And the goal is, well, to get past that typical image, someone sitting alone, and really dig into what loneliness might be trying to tell us.
And hopefully offer you, the listener, a bit of a fresh perspective, maybe on your own feelings or what you see around you.
So first, big idea, busting the myth. Being alone and feeling lonely are, well, they're two different things.
Absolutely. The source makes this distinction crystal clear. It draws a contrast, like picture someone totally absorbed in a book, just loving the quiet time.
Right, completely content.
Versus someone else, maybe they're at a party surrounded by people, but they feel adrift, disconnected, even with all the noise and activity.
That really hits home because it highlights that loneliness is, at its root, an emotional thing. It's about feeling isolated, that perception of it.
The perception.
Not necessarily the, physical reality of whether someone else is in the room.
Which explains why someone might feel terribly lonely despite having, say, thousands of friends on social media or a packed social calendar.
Yeah, or that feeling you sometimes get in a crowded place, like you're invisible. It's about not feeling truly seen or understood.
Precisely. And this leads to another key point: challenging the stigma. We often treat loneliness like it's some kind of personal failing, right?
Definitely. Something's wrong with you if you feel lonely.
But the text suggests, well, what if it's more like hunger or thirst? A basic human signal, not a flaw, just an indicator that a need isn't being met.
A need for connection,
Yeah.
specifically. That's actually a much kinder way to frame it. It takes the shame out of it.
It really does. It reframes it as a normal, universal experience. And interestingly, the text also points out that sometimes these periods of loneliness, while difficult, can actually be transformative.
Transformative. How so?
Well, that feeling can push you towards introspection, making you think about what kind of connections you really value, what you actually need from your relationships. It can be a period of sort of reevaluation.
That makes sense. Like hitting pause and figuring out what truly matters in terms of belonging.
And the text even mentions how some people channel these feelings. Think about artists, writers, activists throughout history. Sometimes that intense inner world born from isolation fuels incredible creativity or drives change.
And it's not just about wallowing in it, then it can be channeled.
Potentially, yes. It's not inevitable, of course, but the potential is there.
Which maybe speaks to how common this feeling really is. I was struck by that Harvard statistic mentioned in the source.
Oh, the 2021 survey. Yeah, over a third of Americans feeling lonely frequently, and high rates among young adults, too.
Which is so paradoxical, isn't it? We're supposedly more connected than ever before, technologically speaking.
It's a huge paradox. We have all these digital tools, but maybe they're contributing to the problem in some ways. The source talks about substituting quantity for quality.
Like scrolling and swiping and liking from a distance?
Exactly, getting those little hits of pseudo-connection, but maybe missing out on the deeper, more meaningful interactions that actually combat loneliness.
So it's a widespread thing. If you're feeling it, you're definitely not the only one.
That's a crucial message. You're absolutely not alone in feeling alone, ironically enough.
So, okay, if loneliness is this signal, what exactly is it signaling? What's the message it might be trying to deliver?
That's the next step, right? Moving beyond just defining it to actually decoding it, the text suggests a few possibilities.
Like what?
Well, it could be a sign you need to reconnect with yourself, get back in touch with your own values, what makes you tick.
Okay, an internal disconnect maybe.
Or it could be a deep craving for more honest, authentic relationships where you feel like you can actually be yourself and be truly heard.
Not just surface level stuff.
Right. Or sometimes it might even signal that you're going through a period of growth. Change can be unsettling, and that feeling of being a bit lost or disconnected can actually be part of finding a new path.
So it's less of a dead end and more of a signpost.
That's a great way to put it. See it as feedback, not a flaw. The text really encourages asking yourself, okay, what kind of connection am I really missing here?
Getting specific about the need. Is it needing one close friend? Or feeling part of a community? Or just needing someone to listen without judgment?
Exactly. And this leads to the idea of working with loneliness, not just trying to frantically fix it or eliminate it entirely, because it is a natural emotion.
Right, you can't just switch it off. So how do you work with it?
The text offers some gentle approaches. One is just getting curious instead of critical. When that feeling pops up, instead of beating yourself up, ask, okay, loneliness, what are you trying to tell me right now?
Shifting from judgment to curiosity. I like that.
Another idea is focusing on depth over breadth in relationships. Maybe nurturing one or two really meaningful connections rather than chasing a huge social circle. Even one good conversation can make a difference.
Quality over quantity again.
Definitely. And then there's connecting inward, things like journaling, meditation, even just spending quiet time in nature. Building that relationship with yourself can make you feel less alone, strangely enough.
Strengthening your own foundation.
Yes. And finally, the idea of offering connection. Sometimes reaching out to someone else, maybe someone you suspect is also feeling a bit isolated, can be incredibly powerful for both people.
That act of giving connection can create it.
It often does. It shifts the focus outward in a positive way.
Okay, so wrapping this up.
Yeah.
The big picture here seems to be that loneliness is, well, it's complex. It's not just about being physically alone.
Not at all. It's fundamentally about lacking that meaningful connection, that sense of belonging. And it's incredibly common.
And crucially, it's not something to necessarily fear or feel ashamed of. It might actually have something valuable to teach us.
Absolutely. It can be a catalyst for self-reflection, for seeking out more authentic relationships, for understanding ourselves better. It's a signal that we need to pay attention to our fundamental human needs.
The need to connect, to matter, to belong, those are powerful needs.
They really are.
So the final thought for you listening, if you experience loneliness, remember it's a shared human feeling. Understanding its message, maybe seeing it not as an enemy, but as an awkward messenger. Perhaps that understanding itself can be a small comfort. You're not broken, and you're certainly not alone in feeling this way.